Welcome to Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the podcast dedicated to the commercial food equipment repair industry. My name is Pat Finley. I'm a lead master certified technician at General Parts Group and a certified specialist trainer. My goal is to shine a light on what I believe is one of the most interesting and rewarding industries a field service technician can work in. I love the work I do, and I'm glad you're here listening to this podcast. In this episode, we have the first in the series of The Young Guns featuring Mason King. The Commercial Kitchen Chronicles podcast is proudly sponsored by Viega and the Viega Trades Education Network. Viega is a leader in press technology and a large supporter of trade education through their V10 program. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. Pat here. I have Jason, Rich Ortega, and very special guest Mason King with us tonight. We're trying to do something a little different here. We're going to try to focus on some of the younger guys in industries. So today we have Mason King. He is 23 years old. He's out of South Carolina, and he does refrigeration, HVAC, and he puts the kitchen stuff on the end. So I don't know how much he really does. I'll give him a hard time for that. But appreciate Mason coming on and talking about, what it's like being 23 years old out here killing it in the trades. I'm not against college. I'm not against, going to learn a trade or anything else. So I'm just glad to have people on here to show what they're proud to do. And, that you can make good money being 20, 21, 22, 23 years old in a trade with no debt. So what's going on, Mason?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir. Just hanging out this evening. Didn't have too much of a hard day. Been training a new guy for, I guess he started not last Friday, but the Friday before. He's been with me every single day. So he's gotten pretty good. He, a lot of times I'll toss him the tool bag and just sit there and watch him. And he's excelling pretty good.
How old is he?
He's like 28. He's got a little bit prior experience. Just came out of residential HVAC, and then back in a while ago, he used to work for a smaller refrigeration company.
Nice. I heard a lot of good things about you from Rich. He said he ran to you actually out in the field somewhere, and he said, "Hey, this young gun thing." He's like, "Oh, I know someone would be good for it," and brought you up, and I was like, "Oh." I was like, "What's his name?" I was like, "Oh, I follow him. He follows me." I was like, "That's cool."
We met at an Outback, wasn't it? I was doing the startup on the Unox, and you was doing, I think, the walk-ins or something like that.
I was going out there, for the walk-ins.
Yep.
Gotta love those Unoxes, man, at Outback, dude. I got a story, but I won't tell it on the air. It didn't call it Unox. I'll just say that it had nothing to do with the Unox. It was just something else in the kitchen. So that's the story of the time. No names will be mentioned during that story. So what's going on, Jason? How you feeling? You had a little minor procedure last week, and you're back to.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Thanks for checking up on me. Aside from my coworkers, you guys have checked on me. Some of the guys in the chat, like Brian Sanders, has checked on me and everything, just from the small mention of me having a nasal procedure last week. So yeah, I just had a terminal reduction where they just reduced some of the swelling that's in my nose from over the years. A little bit to do with like an Afrin addiction on top of allergies, me trying to combat my allergies. So had that procedure last Friday, and I'm feeling much better. I went ahead and took the week off from work, so I'm not returning to work until next Monday. So you'll see me posting a bunch of content and doing what I like to do on here, just communicating with people in our industry, promoting our industry, and just doing our Commercial Kitchen Chronicles thing.
Yeah, I've noticed the uptake in your posting, and I like it.
Yeah, because I'm having fun. That's what fun looks like for me.
You're making up for my lack of posting, is what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah, you can back today a little bit.
Huh? You taking a break, Rich?
No, he went back a little bit today. Did he? I've seen him.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I took a bit of.
What was up with that unit? You get it figured out?
Which one?
The one that looked like a supermarket line, it looked like just some.
Oh yeah, that was a freezer at a Family Dollar. I mean, basically, yeah, like I showed in the video, the back heater was dead, but the guy who went and diagnosed it, he saw the same symptoms I saw. Front was clean, back was frozen solid, and his notes say he thawed it with water, turned the unit back on. He says he checked the defrost and it was working, but you know how that goes. And then he probably just checked the front element, is what I'm guessing. And then after he's seen it drop down the temperature, he said, "Oh, it's good," and ran out the store. And now tomorrow they have a new defrost heater coming in.
So it was the front was good, but the back wasn't.
The front was good, but the back was bad. Yeah, the front was pulling 5.5 amps. The back was pulling 0. They're both wired together. So I mean, I'm no rocket surgeon, but that screams bad heater to me.
So Mason, what have you been working on here lately?
Yesterday I had a pretty fun day on a rack. We don't work on too much, so every time I do, it's a good, on training wheels basically.
Well, learning experience.
Yeah, because yesterday, we're out there just to do the maintenance on it, and I saw a loose screw hanging off a solenoid coil. Went to go tighten it up, didn't see the rubbed out wire right on the oil level control. Sparked that and spent, basically the next couple hours tracing that one down. Ended up being
nice.
popped to the contacts in the Danfoss controller. It was a long one. And then other than that, nothing too crazy. Had a walk-in cooler or freezer hung up and right before a defrost today. It was froze up. But you gotta love those.
Yeah,
nothing too crazy.
Kitchen before it gets to 40 degrees. They never call like 28. They would call when it's like 50 degrees. I'm like, dude, this thing's been down for like 3 days, man. Like, that didn't form in a matter of minutes.
No, yeah, this one wasn't too bad. They called it in pretty early. I think the freezer was still at about like 20 or so, maybe lower. And so we just set it in a long defrost and pulled X off the time clock and let her eat. Ain't no sense in getting in there with a water hose and making a big old mess when it's not too bad.
Nice. So, like I said, the reason we had you on because we're doing this Young Guns feature, and you're out there killing it. So, you want to talk about how you got involved? Where you work at, and what made you pick up a trade, and how long you've been there?
When I first graduated high school in 2019, I originally wanted to go do. I see y'all laughing.
My daughter graduated 19, dude.
Yeah. I first thought I wanted to go do a couple of years at Greenville Tech and then transfer to like Clemson University or something like that. And I'm sitting there thinking about what I wanted to do. And originally, I used to be real big in like off road and stuff. I built a couple Jeeps and old Toyota truck and stuff like that. And so I wanted to do some sort of like automotive marketing. I didn't necessarily want to, work on it all the time because it was a passion. And but then I'm sitting there, at the Greenville Tech taking biology classes, and I'm like, this makes no sense. And had a buddy that did this, had a couple buddies that welded, a couple buddies that were electricians, and after just kind of picking all their brains and everything, I was like, well, this one sounds kind of the most rewarding, at least. You're actually able to just work on stuff versus just completing a task. And so here I am. And started going to the local tech school for this in August of 2020. Got a job with my current company in 2020 as well after my first semester of school. Was working, going to school at night, going to school at night. Then I got tossed into the on-call rotation while still going to school. And so all that was, pretty big challenge. I had a bunch of IOUs to a lot of the guys. Definitely owe a lot of them a thank you for covering while I was at school. But nothing was worse than, leaving school and then having to go run a call. And it's already like 10 o'clock at that point.
Ooh.
It was a lot.
So did you finish school, or did you just say?
I did. Yeah, I started it, so I was going to finish it. And had a bunch of good teachers over there, especially the refrigeration guy. He's got his own company in town. And he does pretty well for himself, and he was definitely a big help in helping me progress how I did.
That's awesome. Cool.
So what was the certificate in, or the diploma, or the associate?
It was a certificate in HVACR.
Nice.
There was something else on there too. I got it somewhere, but I basically got it, put it in the folder, and threw it somewhere. I was like, well, I'm done with that.
You got your EPA ready to go.
Yeah, they got us. The EPA was, obviously the big one, and you get a couple other just I haven't pulled it out of my wallet since I put it in there a couple of years ago. Some
Yeah, mine's stuck together
410A,
too.
track pipe, and just random stuff.
So how well do you think that tech school prepared you for being in the field? A lot of times older guys are like, I forget everything you learned in tech school, this, that, and the other. I mean, and while there's an element to, being in a controlled environment isn't the same as in the field. Obviously, you do learn things that will prepare you, but what's your take being that you're, recently graduated from tech school? What's your take on how well it prepared you for being in this field?
I think that would be a better question for somebody who did the whole program and then started school versus, I started working after my first semester. So I was able to, learn about something and then see it
Apply
later
it.
on that day.
Right.
A lot of that was pretty instant. So, it was like, okay, that the stuff they're saying actually, I need to know this.
Right.
So I would definitely say it's what you take out of it. I started that program the same exact day as, a lot of other people. And, I mean, I'm not bashing nobody, but there's, a lot of people who just didn't take the classes seriously and stuff like that. And, they're just swapping filters every day and
Right.
pretty content. But I mean, I just don't know how. There's a lot more money to be made out there if you make something.
Oh yeah.
I agree.
That's cool. That's a different way to look at it. I mean, I always tell guys, if they're going to get in a trade, it's an opportunity to try before you buy or so. So if you do want to do a trade, see if you can't work somewhere as a helper for a summer or something before you get in, spend the money on it. But it seems like you did it and it worked out the other way. So that's pretty cool. I bet the teacher probably loved having you in class too, because you probably show examples.
I would end up helping out a lot of times on some like the bigger classes. He would be on one unit, and I'd be on the other, just showing people the same thing. And it, most of the time it was only I wouldn't be able to do that all the time by any means, but most of the time it was if I just did that at work with somebody or something like that. So that definitely helped a lot.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I remember my HVAC school in Tacoma, and we had quite a few students that were actually doing residential and doing maintenance work. That was their job, and some of their tuition was paid for by the employer, but I know the teacher was leaning on them big time. So it was pretty cool to see them actually put what they were learning in school and like, man, I just dealt with this issue, or we just learned about it this week, but they were dealing with it the week before. And they're like, well, crap, if I had this class 2 weeks before, I would have been able to figure that out. But they were also able to share a lot of what they were doing on the regular, they're like, hey, what'd you do last week? And they'd bust out their pictures and videos, and the teacher would throw it up there on the screen and they talk about it. So it was pretty cool having that opportunity.
Yeah, I was going to make a note on Nasty HVACR's comment as well. Is that highlighted on all the screens?
Yeah.
Sorry,
you're good. No, you're fine.
But yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tech school gave him a good way to visually trace out circuits and understand how inside motors and compressors work. And he says those visuals are still in my brain to this day while I am diagnosing. So that makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you got friends that probably went to school and spent $60,000, $80,000, $100,000, came back and struggled to find work and probably making nowhere near making or anything else.
Oh yeah, a lot of them came back, and I mean, I definitely have a lot of friends who did something good with it. But I would say just more people I know that have gone to school and not really done anything with it end up working at a restaurant that I'm working at. And it's just, I run into that a lot too. People my age working in a restaurant, like people I went to school with, because I still, I've lived in the same town my entire life. So, I run into people that I went to school with, grew up with, and stuff like that, working in these fast food restaurants. And it's always kind of like a really weird feeling because, it's like we're the same age, but you're on the grill at Burger King, and it's just real weird. The small stuff like that, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not against school. There's plenty of careers where you need that education. Just if you're going to spend that kind of money, you really need to know what you're going to do. I mean, there's so many degrees out there you can't do anything with that the school gives you, a piece of paper for, and you're just stuck with it. So, So EC2Fix says he was curious how well that school prepared Mason for electrical challenges in our trade.
I mean, it teaches everything's a source path and a load, and then you got to have a switch. So I mean, I feel like with that simple basics, you just got to figure out where it starts and figure out where it ends. And I feel like school has done a good job at that. And especially working, being young in it and thrown just kind of to the wolves at some points, tracing down 24-volt shorts and weird shorts and refrigeration circuits, and a lot of it just it's just experience.
He says
most of that came from.
He says he only asked because he knows HVAC guys who can't even operate a multimeter. Yeah,
I think we all know those guys. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know a couple of those guys too.
I keep finding new ones in trucks when we switch trucks out. Like this never came out of the box.
Unfortunately, guys like that everywhere. It's just part of what happens. It's kind of wild how the industry works, unfortunately, but there is good guys out there, and there is people that shouldn't be out there. I mean, just like every other job. So,
yeah.
So
my three favorite things to find in vans after a while is an untouched recovery tank, meter, and micron gauge. Those are the three. Like, sorry, go ahead.
The plastic on it, you're like,
yeah,
paint's worn off, but the plastic's still on it. You're like, it's been rolled around that cage for a while. That's bad.
Taking a couple of coil cleaner spills by now too.
Oh, the big foamy, crusty mess back there. See that all the time.
I was waiting for the video I'm gonna put out for my job today, and it's a R290 can, and the bottom of it's just like completely rusted. I don't know how it's still holding refrigerant because it was in a those blue plastic bins you like for your shelves in the van.
Yeah,
that come with the van. Well, I have it in here. I had ice machine cleaner in the same one, and it got a hole punctured in the ice machine cleaner. So anything that was like a metal can's like the bottom of it's rusted. I'm just waiting for stuff to start popping in the back of my van.
Jeez.
But it held refrigerant still, so I used it and got it off my truck. So I see you working on all different kinds of stuff. I mean, there's like you got medical stuff, rooftop stuff, rack stuff. So you guys just pretty much do anything?
Yeah, we pretty much do everything. Not much racks. We only have not even a handful of those customers. But as far as more of like a cold storage type setup, still just regular split systems, just a couple of them. We have more of those in racks for sure. The pharmaceutical, some plasma places.
Ooh, super cool.
Yeah. And then we just do, kitchens, restaurants, all that good stuff. Worked in the morgues, worked in daycare. I mean, I've worked everywhere. There's probably not a single type of business that uses a cooler that I haven't worked, which is pretty nice. We'll just do anything. If you got something, we'll come fix it. Which definitely makes you learn a lot. Because we cover a pretty broad area, and outside of Greenville, it can get pretty rural pretty quick in some spots. And you'll come across some old R12 equipment that somebody's written some weird refrigerant on it, and you just got to make it work out there in the middle of nowhere. And I'm sure there's guys out there that have it a lot worse than we do, but there's those guys have been using a chuck and a truck forever. And you come, you finally fix it, it's finally cold. They're like, they'll always say it's never been like that before. Like, well, I know, look who was working on it, hired a jackleg. And but then it comes time for the bill, and they're always complaining about that good work that they were so happy about a minute ago. When it comes time for the bill, it's like, well,
Yep, the bill comes due. It always does.
It's always second though. Yeah.
You either pay or you're going to pay. I mean, there's no way around it.
But they really don't save money with chucking a truck, man, because most of the time it's callback. And they don't get that. They just see smaller bills, and they don't realize that all those smaller bills are less than a good technician's regular bill, get it done properly the first time. So, So Megan has a point. She said the best is when an electrician asks to use your multimeter because he doesn't have one.
That happens all the time. That's not a joke. That happens.
I never heard that one. That's a new one for me.
Oh
Wow.
man, I just worked on a neighbor's AC, and he's an electrician, like racking in the dough. I was reading the schematic on the side of the, it's one of the relays burnt, so I had to bypass it so that the condenser would turn on with it. So it's cool. They got a kid, but I'm like showing him the schematic on the back of the little panel of this condenser, and he's just like, I'm like, well, you got a meter on you? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to have to walk 2 blocks back to my house to get that meter and then come back and continue to help you. But, this is pretty cut and dry. You could just move this wire here, and he's just like, I'm like, okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
that's
not the best impression.
If they're not a service electrician, they don't carry a meter. Like most of the guys,
A lot of them say they just deal with they don't deal with live wires. They just do continuity, and they set up things, and someone comes and turns it on. It's like 2 different people. The person who turns it on and the person who ran the wires are 2 different people apparently, but they're all electricians.
I'll tell you what gets me with electricians, and I'm not bashing electricians. I got a good friend who's an electrician, but he's actually a good electrician.
That's a micro.
But y'all ever ran into where they run the wiring for the walk-in through the drip pan underneath the evaporator instead of through the knockout? I've run into that a few times in person.
I've seen that once and it rubbed out. That's why I was even there.
I see the video. Like, how does this even work? I've never seen it in person, because if I see it in person, I'd probably lose it.
I've seen it in person a couple. I think it was literally 2 times in my whole career. I've seen that. First, I've seen a bunch of posts on Facebook about it, and I'm like, nah, y'all are. There's no way. And then I walk into a walk-in cooler one day, and I'm like, oh, this is for real. Oh,
this isn't a Florida thing, is it, Rich? Not a Florida thing, right?
It happens all over.
I'd freak out. That'd be it. I wouldn't even. I don't know, man. I'd have to make some videos and stuff before I even looked at it. It just. They not realize what that pan's there for, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
And they don't realize that there's like at least 3 knockouts in the back of the evaporator where the wire's supposed to go.
Oh, yeah. The size is 1/2 and 3/4 back there. I mean, take your pick.
So, Mason, how many years you been in this?
This December will be my 3rd year at this company.
So you've seen some stuff then, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So
you got any horror stories or something that sticks out that you're like, you were just like, what the hell? Or I wish I never walked into this or anything like that? You got any good stories?
Sometimes I ask that every morning, why did I pick this? But, a lot of it was just hell, getting thrown into a van and just figuring it out. Had a couple of good buddies I'd talk to all the time, and, some good managers, and figured a lot out. Just a lot of it was just hell for a while.
Yeah, that's how I learned. Unfortunately, the internet wasn't as big back when I started as it is now. But I still remember just out there eating shit, struggling. Like, who do I call? Where do I go? Like, what am I doing? Why did I decide I wanted to do this? I'm like, there's days I was ready to quit. I mean, I still got days I'm ready to quit, but there was like days back then I was like, seriously, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm gonna find a different job. I'm gonna go back to being an electrician. I mean,
dude, I don't know. Thinking about this stuff, I think we might have to rethink this Young Guns thing, because I'm thinking about when I first started. I used to go around. I had in my truck that big, I think it was called Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Technologies book. It was like the big blue book that had like everything you could want to know about HVAC and refrigeration. And I used to flip through that because we didn't have cell phones like that. We definitely didn't have iPads or none of that crap.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I have one.
Mason's like,
in my
huh?
van. Now I have a commercial refrigeration textbook in my van. I'll thumb through it sometimes, just like while sitting there at lunch. And a lot of times, if I got somebody riding with me, I'll toss it to them and let them pick a couple chapters if they want. Just kind of go over some stuff, especially after we just left something we might have had to work kind of quick or something like that. Like, oh, you can catch up on that right here.
That's cool.
So you're young, and you say you do some training with some of the guys. What is the oldest person you've had to train, and how was that? Like, with him trying to deal with someone probably. Well, what was their age first? Let's start there. The oldest person you had to train.
I think we got a guy started not too long ago. I think he's either almost 60 or almost like 65 or almost 70. But he came with a lot of experience. So I just had to train him on our software and stuff like that, kind of our routes around town and stuff like that.
All right.
But as far as no experience, nobody too old, probably mid-40s.
They handle, listen to someone half their age or young enough to be their son.
I don't know. I used to always think about that too. Like like telling somebody to do something. Like I don't want to seem like I don't want to be like an asshole. But then again, it's just like we got shit to do.
Don't want to be an asshole, but I got to respect my elders.
Yeah, it's a
Throw
lot of
stir
that.
on the back of everything.
Carry my tool bag, sir.
Yeah.
Go up to the ladder, sir. My son, he's 20. Well, he's 21 now. He just turned 21, but he was my apprentice, and man, I could imagine just having to listen to someone my son's age just telling me what to do or try to explain something to me. Just man, it'd be a rough situation to be in. So it sounds like you handle it pretty well. You don't give them too much shit. So
Yeah, a lot of it too. Some of the guys I've seen come and go with a bunch of experience and stuff like that. One example, this guy said he had like 10 years experience, and he started on like a Monday, and he was on Friday was like his first day of service, and he needed a jug of refrigerant on his last call, and I was passing it on the way home, and his issue was it was froze up, and he was like, yeah, it's froze up, and the sight glass was flashing, and he's like, I just don't even know where to start. And I was like, well, I said, did you at least get the ice off before you said you were low on refrigerant or your sight glass was flashing or whatever? And I mean, he just let go. I mean, I guess he was already having a bad day, but he was like, I got 10 years of experience. I don't need you questioning me, this, that, and the other. And like, I'm not here for that. I mean, it's work. I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna go home. And I just dropped the jug of refrigerant, turned around, and walked right back to my van. And that right then told me everything I need to know about him. A couple other running callbacks on guys that didn't last. One dude put in a TXV on this beer cooler, and he got it all swapped out, and he left, and they called back the next day saying it hasn't gotten below 42 degrees, and sight glass is clear, head pressure is good, my superheat at the compressor is like 80 degrees, and so I go down there and start cranking on that TXV, and it falls right into range after just sitting there and adjusting the brand new TXV. And so, I was like, I wonder if I got something weird going on with this valve. So I was like, I'll ask him what he set the superheat to before he left. And, called him, and he said, oh man, you ain't got to do that. He said, they just kind of settle in. And I said, you didn't turn it once. And he said, nah, you ain't got to do that. And it's just stuff like that. I can't do nothing but laugh.
Great. That's absolutely great.
Yeah, there's it could be people having a bad day, but there's plenty of times where I just try to get more information to fill in blanks for an understanding of what's going on, where people lose it. They're just like, I know what I'm doing. I'm just like, I'm really just trying to understand. Help me understand. I'm dumb. Just help me understand what you're trying to say so I can articulate to the customer, or I can, or even worse, I'm there after them. It's potentially a callback, and I'm just calling to find out what they did so I don't waste my time or redo and they still lose it. Like,
oh yeah.
See, to me, that's like the biggest indicator, though, that they know that they don't know what they're doing or what they did or why they did it. And instead of just, calling for help while they were there, or just telling you honestly, hey, I was trying this, I was trying that, but I really was lost. They just flip out. That's just a way to try to cover up the fact that they know they didn't know what they were doing. At least that's my take on it.
Or worse, they did know what they were doing, and they're pissed off that you're there because you're probably going to find out.
Or that,
yeah,
that's true.
Either way,
I mean, I've definitely had my my fair share of callbacks, especially first starting, and somebody would call me, and I would just be so inquisitive to figure out what I missed, because I mean, I hate making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in this podcast has had their callbacks.
oh, yeah.
And you always want to learn.
to this day, I still ask somebody if I struggled on something and they got to go behind me. I'm still like, hey, call me, let me know what you found. And if they didn't call me, I'll call them. Be like, hey, did you finish that call? What did you find? Where did I mess up? We're all gonna keep screwing up until the day we retire from this. So, like you said, you might as well keep learning, and it don't matter how old you are, how long you've been in this. Just be open minded and hey, what did I miss? A lot of times it's something stupid. Sometimes it's something big. But either way, if you learn and somebody can explain to you what you did wrong, then you know for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a huge case of that this week. Like I talked to you guys about it Monday, but I had some fryers come in. They'll remain nameless, but they're having some issues with some parts, and I spent a greater part 6 hours replacing a bunch of parts, and I'd done the same repair on some other fryers they had. So I looked at the instructions. I didn't realize there was 2 sets of instructions. I just seen the first set. I was like, oh, it's the same as the last one I did. So I did the same as the last one I did. The bad thing was I went out to a store and I pulled out a bank of 4 working fryers. I put gas lines, oil return lines on, and I turned them on. All 4 fryers lit, and none of them would sense. They wouldn't sense flame. They just keep sparking, lit. No sense. I tried diagnosing it real quick, but they had to open up at 10. It was Veterans Day. You know how much places do on Veterans Day, free meal. It's gonna be an absolute nightmare. I rolled the old fryers back in, hooked them back up, filled them up, fired them up, and went on my business. Brought the fryers back into the shop Tuesday when I came back in, and it escalated. The president of the franchise, the president of the restaurant, president of the fryer company, and the president of my parent company were all on conference calls. Dude. This restaurant group was threatening to pull a $2 million order from the manufacturer because of this, and out there was 2 sets of instructions. I read the wrong instruction, and I just wired it the way the old ones were. And then the old ones, you didn't hook up the sense wire. On this new module, it's a different version. You had to hook up the sense wire, and that's all I didn't do, dude.
Mistake, man.
Yeah, and I owned it. I mean, that's another thing I tell these young guys: own your mistakes. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to deny it. Say what you did and own it, and you're gonna turn out a lot better. But yeah, it got ugly fast.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
So,
and you're still the best one to go back and deal with it. So,
well, dude, they were like, hey, we were gonna fly someone up there, and then we realized it was you. And we said, we're not sending anybody up there. You'll fly. I was like, oh,
we're gonna send the best. Oh, it was him.
Thanks for the photo. Like, almost cost you guys $2 million.
That's a month. That's a Friday.
Yeah. Do you do any cooking, Mason, or are you just all refrigeration HVAC?
Do what?
Do you do any hot side stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, nothing too complex. Like a lot of the warranty, Vulcan, all that big stuff. Rich's company has basically got that on the lock with the manufacturers and stuff. We don't do much of that at all. We do some warranty work for some pretty junky companies out there that, there's a lot of that. Every now and then I'll be sent to go work. I mean, there's a lot of times I just don't even know like what to do, especially on not as much anymore, but you'll work on something so small and you're just like, why am I even fixing this for this? It's just some random, it's almost like a toaster almost. And so a bunch of weird junky companies. And then a fair share of Blodgett ovens and regular Pitco fryers and stuff like that. A little bit of experience with the Henny Pennies. Not much with the Fry Masters other than that one that I recently posted. I think y'all saw that on Facebook or something. The one covered in grease and French fries and all that nasty stuff.
Oh, the pile?
Yeah.
Back where they just been dumping fry? Yeah, I see that.
That thing's
that was a bad
too
one.
much. I'd say sometimes I'll go a week without running a hot side service call, and then sometimes I'll run 7 in a week. There's really no in between.
That's me, except I'll go weeks without doing refrigeration and all hot side, and all of a sudden, like this week, I'm doing all refrigeration. Tomorrow, I'm installing ice machine and refrigeration today. I was glad because I was just bitching last week that I'm over working on fryers and combi ovens. So my boss is like, "You get your wish." So, do you have some pretty good senior techs you get to lean on when you have challenges or you need some support, or do you reach out to people like Rich or other people you've met?
Got a good service manager. He's a newer service manager, and then I still am in contact with my old service manager. He's definitely taught me a ton when it comes to the refrigeration stuff. Got a couple buddies I call a good bit, talk to a lot of the days, just to kind of keep the day rolling. And he's a little bit older than I am, and he's been a pretty great help too. He's 26, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, it's always good to have coworkers you can lean on, and especially when you get beat up or stuck on stuff.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to call technical support, are you, Mason?
No,
Okay.
I'll call. I try to wait forever.
Good.
I try to put myself to the ringer before I call them, but I'll eventually call them if I can't get it.
Oh, that's professional courtesy if you're going to contact them that you've gone through the paces, so you can give them that information. So you'll just be one less thing to check off the next time you call them before you call them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, helps you diagnose,
Literally, tech support taught me quite a bit, to be honest, man.
Yeah.
I was just winging it
Some
when I
of
got
them.
out. Yeah. Some of them are reading.
There's
I'm reading the same page you're reading, guy.
Are you on page 19?
Tech support hates me because by the time I call tech support and they start, the bottom was like, look, let me tell you what I did and let's go from and like us starting at the bottom of this tree, dude. Like we're going to the top, and then most of the time I rattle off what I've done, they're like, oh, let me get you to somebody else. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, see, I used to think like when I was early on in like the mid part of my career, I was like, it's gonna be cool when I'm at that place where I don't really need tech support anymore or whatever.
Never.
And then now it's like, no, because when I need tech support, I really need tech support.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I call tech support and they're like, well, I don't know. You've done everything we know to do. I'm like, y'all ain't helping me. I'm like, let me go back 7 years when I didn't know all this stuff and y'all can help me figure out something. But dang.
That's
But I still call them when I need them. Yeah.
When I get I get an engineer's extension or his email address or phone number, I save it. And I'm like, oh, I'm bypassing tech support. Let me email or text this engineer.
Yeah, unless they need a ticket, they're pretty cool with that. Some of them would be like, hey, just hit me up.
Yeah, I've made a lot of friends, in this industry, like manufacturers and other places that if I can't figure it out, generally I can bounce it off them. And, they do the same thing to me. If they can't figure something out, they bounce it off me. It's pretty cool, what social media is doing for the HVAC, refrigeration, kitchen equipment industry right now. And it's especially LinkedIn and Instagram is really big and really inclusive. And, I've met a lot of cool people on there. I've met you guys on there and Paula Mason on Instagram. And so, but it's a wild time.
Mason, are you on LinkedIn or just Instagram?
I used to have one, but I tried opening the app one day and it just said I couldn't log in, said I couldn't do anything. I need to figure out about getting back into that thing.
Oh, it'll be worth it.
I like that. The connections on that it's mainly business, but like you can connect with a lot of people at manufacturers that actually help out, and make some good connections with it. It really works out in your favor in the long run.
Yeah. LinkedIn is cool especially if you want to grow and develop professionally. I've met a lot of people that they've just seen my content and then they're like, dude, like, say like they're next level. So that they're in leadership or they're in business and they're like, hey, if you're open to it, I'd like to help you grow and understand leadership, understand coaching, understand business. And I'm like, I thought I was just making cool repair videos, but yeah, cool. Let's do that. But it's like a lot of them saw stuff in me that I didn't even really see in myself. And I'm like, cool. And then I actually got to the point where I'm, talking with some of these guys regularly and they're just pouring all this stuff into me that I'm like, if it wasn't for that platform, I would not be growing and learning all this stuff that I'm learning now. So definitely, if you get on LinkedIn and start posting, decent content, you'll make some good connections that they'll start putting stuff into you that you're probably going to reap the benefits 10, 15 years from now.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll definitely get back on it or create a new one, whatever I got to do.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it because the people who reach out to you, they're genuine for the most part. I mean, you will get people they're straight up like, hello, this is what I'm offering, So I try to be pretty intentional about my connections. And for as many connections I have, at first I was just taking any connections, but I probably have a handful in there that have no business. As I see them, I'll cut them. But for the most part, out of the 3,000 people, there are some sort of blue collar hospitality. Just it's a circle of life. It's the customers you serve. It's the manufacturers who provide the equipment, and other technicians and service companies. But those, if you stay connected with them, there's plenty, and they will help you. And it's great community.
Yeah, Megan just said LinkedIn.
What Megan's saying. Yeah,
relationships. Yeah. So I'll add pretty much anybody, but it's like if I add them and like 5 minutes later, would you like to buy such and such, or we offer these services? I'm like, block.
Yeah. A whole skit. It's like, man,
I added you 5 minutes ago, and you were already coming in with the sales pitch. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, again, you can't stress it enough. There's some connections I've made on there that have been pretty cool, just genuinely some people that are put their time in, and I'm connected with a lot of people that are retired. They've been doing it 40 years. They're retired, and they're just on there helping and just giving back and connecting people. And I'm really grateful for them because they're retired. They could be Jimmy Buffett down here, on the beach, but they're still in here. They're looking out for the next gen and whatnot. So I really do appreciate those type of connections, and I look forward to seeing them at events and things like that.
They could still be Jimmy Buffett and just use their phone, bud, hanging on the beach.
Shit, I'm Jimmy Buffett.
Hanging out with an umbrella and a drink and just on LinkedIn telling people what's up.
Sadly enough, that's something I'll be doing because this whole vacation, that's exactly what I'm doing, and that's probably what I'll be doing.
Did you get your HOA compliance brought up to spec or what?
No, I got the pricing. I got to get 4 gallons of a special paint that's $40 a gallon. So I'm going to try to do that this weekend, and I have to plant a tree by this weekend, a crepe myrtle, 6 feet.
You're the only person I know that's on the HOA and still gets in trouble by the HOA.
Yeah, I'm on the architectural committee, and I've still got to. I'm the one who says the color of the house, the type of shingles, all that stuff, and I have to comply. So
how did that work? Did you send yourself the notice? Like,
no, I was quite surprised. Just come home and I'm like, oh, it looks like some hate mail in the mail here with my neighborhood signia on it, and open it up, and it starts with, we're trying to always maintain the property value and the curb.
You're like, I wrote this letter. This is my template.
So yeah,
like, we're gonna need you to get this in compliance.
Yeah,
that's great.
Maybe I'll make some content while I do that.
So Mason, 23 years old. Do you live on your own, or do you?
Yeah, I got 2 roommates. One I've known him since kindergarten, and the other one I think I've known since like second or third grade. We played like little league football together. So I've known both of them basically forever. And then got my dog. He's right behind us. Can't really see him. He's a chocolate lab.
Nice.
He's pretty dark over there. What he hears me talking about.
So are your roommates in the trades?
Yeah, the one of them, he owns a landscaping company, and then the other one, him and his dad do residential new construction, custom homes, HVAC installs and stuff like that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
You have some good friends, buddy.
Yeah. And then so all 3 of us are pretty much just leaving about the same time, working all day, and coming back home and have a beer or 2, and then I got a girlfriend too. I've been dating her since I was 17, so spend a good bit of time with her. So she's almost finished up with school.
Oh,
what's she gonna be? Electrician?
She no. She wants to help kids, which I think is pretty cool. She wants to be, some sort of maybe like private
Social
practice, children's therapist or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
So sounds good.
Wants to help kids through rough stuff, which I can definitely get behind. I mean, how could you not?
No, absolutely. And a lot of people need help, different.
Yeah.
Everywhere people need help.
No, I just brought it up because I like to tell people about my son. Everyone asks, I just use my son as a reference because it's what I know. he's 21 years old. He owns a house, got got a decent truck. He's engaged. Got 2 dogs. I mean, he's just like most 30-year-olds, but he's 21 years old. So he's I'm proud of him. I'm proud of all the young kids out here with it. Like you, like this is the whole reason I wanted to start this Young Guns thing, is that to show you guys off, to show hey, you don't have to follow the status quo. You can go do whatever you want and make money and have fun at it. So you seem like you enjoy your job and your career. So
I do. It it keeps the lights on and allows me to have fun, have a good life. Pretty good work-life balance, and that always helps with having some money behind that too.
Yeah, people ask about that work-life balance, and people are like, "Man, you work too many hours." I'm like, "Look, me working too many hours is my own fault because I don't say no. Like, I don't have to the hours I work, but that's like when I started, I didn't make the money I make now, and I had 3 kids. I was struggling, so I worked a bunch of hours. I just became addicted to that lifestyle, and it's like never gone away. I will say though, if you have kids or something, make sure you're there for your kids' events. Make sure you go to your kids' sport events, their kindergarten graduation, your 6th grade graduation. Make sure you're there for your kids. And if your company doesn't understand that or can't accommodate that, that's a totally different conversation you're going to have with your family.
I think these days most companies can and will accommodate it, because if you're a good tech, I mean, they either got to hold on to you or the next guy is lining up, to hire you the day you walk out of that company. And I think too, companies are starting to understand, there is a such thing as mental health. There's a lot of, stuff that you got to take care of behind the scenes for you to actually even be, a good worker, to be a good employee. So in this trade, it allows you to do that. I think you have the ability to make a good living and still have that work-life balance. Yes, sometimes you're on call, sometimes jobs take longer than expected, and you're going to put in all them extra hours, but I think overall it affords a pretty good work-life balance these days.
Kitchen Cowboy says, my wife decides how much she can order off Amazon based on how much I'm not home.
That's awesome. To double what Rich is saying, especially since COVID, and we're all hard workers here, but I think the psyche was hit globally when it comes to people's mortality and whether or not they want to work 70 hours a week just to not see tomorrow, possibly. So I get where the shift in culture, where people are like, I need a work-life balance, and that's legit. I just think, like the housing market, where sometimes it's a seller's market and then it's a buyer's market. Right now, it's a technician's market. It's an employee's market, and I think employers are seeing that, so they're accommodating. It's not to say that down the road it might shift and it might be back in their favor, and they're like, screw that time, and whatnot. But I think culturally, people, the globe has shifted, and I enjoy my work-life balance, and I've set myself up financially just enough to be like, I'm here because I want to be here, not because I have to be here. So that's another thing I think employers should help their employees with, is some financial literacy and whatnot. And because if you can have your finances under control, life is so much different, man. You're going to be where you want to be when you want to be there, versus you got to let somebody else dictate your work-life balance and whatnot. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, my one piece of advice to someone young getting in, any career, is take advantage of your 401k, match whatever you can match, put as much back as you can, because the difference between starting at 20 versus starting at 40 could be millions of dollars.
Oh yeah, my my
I
grandparents. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I say that unless you're going to be with a company for a long time, I say the opposite of that, because having to roll over a 401k and crap like that, if you can't do it in time, what you lose in taxes and whatnot, that can kill any match and anything that you saved. But definitely, learn about investing is what I would say. Learn about index funds, learn about broad market funds, learn about all that kind of stuff, all different kinds of different accounts and whatnot, for sure. But yeah, I always throw that in about the 401k. I mean, they're not bad, they're great, but you have to know that you're going to stay employed for a long time, and you're going to be able to roll it over and whatnot. And I've seen people lose 20-30% of their 401k because they got let go and they couldn't get hired within a certain time frame. So There's just that side of it.
That's robbery.
Yeah.
That's the government.
Oh yeah. Legalized robbery, man. It's what taxes stand for.
Yeah, a bunch of thugs.
But go ahead, Mason. I cut you off. My bad.
No, yeah, I was saying, I was forced from the outside pretty much to start investing in that 401k and stuff like that. And then a lot of some of the struggle too is, being young and finally having like, decent money. And then it's like, oh, that new handgun's cool, or that's cool. Like I can just go buy that now. I ain't got nobody telling me no. And so some of that's kind of hard to battle sometimes. Just now kind of making decent money.
Jason's thinking about me because we had this conversation earlier about my poor financial decisions. Like, he's like, no, I'm not trying to keep up with nobody. I just like buying dumb stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that Milwaukee train horn you got there.
just one of the many things, dude. One of the many things I do.
Be good for pranks. You should at least make content with that and share and scare people.
Well, I wanted to drive a golf cart and
Pull up through the drive-through.
I'll put it in the van. I'm gonna put it in the van and hit somebody, like a bum or somebody sleeping on the side of the road, and hit them with it.
You're horrible.
I'm good. So, Mason, what do you like doing for fun?
We're so blue collar.
Like a lot of hunting and fishing, and more hunting than fishing.
Year.
Do what?
That time of year.
Oh yeah. Might go duck hunting this Saturday. Not sure yet. And then I got a mountain bike. I'll go mountain biking a good bit too, just so I'm not always just sitting still, not doing. Got to get active somewhere. So
you live near
I
mountains?
like doing that. Yeah,
Or
so we live
trails?
kind of like at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Do you take a sidearm when you go riding in case of bears or anything like that?
No, so our region, it's only got black bears, and it's
Are
gonna
they
be
friendly?
rare that well, black bear, they're more scared of you typically, unless they have cubs or something like that. They're pretty much gonna leave you alone.
Okay. So
they're not really.
That's a bet you're taking. I got you, not me.
Yeah, there's some like in city trails, kind of off the path, like by 5 minutes or so, in town, and some of those are pretty. I'm sometimes, a lot of times have a sidearm with me on those versus in the middle of the mountains, just because
like,
I don't know. It's not like what I'm going to see; it's who I'm going to see. I always run
Is it
into
rural?
somebody out
That's
there.
my thing.
No, I mean it's
When I
it's
go
right in the
camping, I'm
city.
more worried about the people than the animals.
He's
Yeah.
like meth zombies, like I had to experience today.
Is that what that post was about?
Yeah, dude, I was getting bombarded by meth zombies. Oh, dude, I
That's
was in my
scary.
van. Like, I didn't even think about it. I was working on this unit. I had my van open, had the radio on and stuff. I'm like, this guy comes walking by. He's like, just like looking all weird and like arms crumpled up, and he's like smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot where I was at. And, he looks in my van. He's like looking in, and he walks back and looks at my van again. I run over and close the door and hit the fucking button, and it honks. Oh, I hit the button and it honks and he takes off, but it's like all day. I had a bundle of like hats. Look, he just stole it from the store across the street. It's all like bundled up. He's like, man, you bald. You need a hat, man. $5. I was like, I don't need no hat. Get the hell out of here. It's like,
We
yeah.
have that's a funny story. We have like this bum, he's got to be on meth or something in downtown Greenville. And anytime he sees like one of my company vans, he'll just turn, and it's just like the most awkward like presidential wave, and it's a coin toss on whether or not he's going to pull his pants down. And then you're just looking at his ass just sitting right there, and he's just turning around and waving as you're just trying to fill out your paperwork. It's just like, man, just on.
Sounds like a show.
Yeah, he's a couple of the guys got stories of him, just walking up to their vans and stuff like that. He's an interesting guy. I haven't talked to the guy. I haven't gotten his backstory, but
when I get my
I got spit at because of my backup alarm. this lady that she was obviously on something, but she went off on how if I'm gonna have a backup alarm, I might as well just run people over because I'm damaging their ears with the backup alarm. And then she spit at my van.
Wait, you guys don't disable that backup alarm? Are you not allowed?
We're not, no.
Oh,
have them
done. Yeah,
We-
I'm not
yeah.
waking
Our
people
vans
up
don't
at 4
have
in the
them.
morning in my neighborhood. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
walk
why you
down
got
there
the
and-
letter.
My van doesn't have them.
Somebody's going to listen to this episode, and I'll have a backup alarm next week.
Well, I don't work for their company. I'm just saying I disable mine. I don't care for that noise. I don't care to hear my neighbors at 2, 3, 4 in the morning with that beeping. That's asinine, So
Yeah.
it'd be nice if there was a switch, maybe, for during business hours. Hey, 8 o'clock, let me turn that back. No, I would never do that.
So you don't have the Hellcat Challenger outside, and he's cold starting it every morning and making it dry up.
Cold starting in Florida? No.
Even
I don't even know what that means.
At first start, a little rowdy and a little loud. So, all right, guys. Well, it's been 55 minutes. It's been good for another guy that said he didn't feel comfortable coming on. He sure did talk a lot and do pretty good.
Yeah, it was a new experience. I appreciate y'all having me on.
I think
I
Rick
appreciate you
brings
coming.
So,
Did you guys ask him yet? What's his favorite thing? What's his favorite thing about the trades? What have you found so far? What's your favorite thing before we let you go? Just a question I had in my head.
Probably the satisfaction from fixing stuff, and
Yeah.
the money's pretty cool too.
Yep.
That's
yeah,
good. I could appreciate that.
I love when you fix something
Sure.
someone else can't fix. Someone else didn't do it. Like you walk in, you fix it, you walk out, you just smile. Like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah, that's
So-
probably my number one is just fixing the stuff.
That's good. Good relationship with the customers.
Mm-hmm.
So do you give
Always
them your
try to-
phone number, or they have to get through dispatch? Or do you have a personal relationship with them where they can reach out to you?
It kind of depends on the customer. I have a couple customers out there that have my phone number, but that's I've been servicing them since I've been working there, and they'll never I'll never go out there and work or anything like that. I ain't trying to do that underneath my company.
Sure.
But
Sure.
sometimes they'll call you with just something small, like, what do you think I should do? Sometimes I'll tell them, try this. If that doesn't work, then just call the office and we'll come out there. And then there's some customers I would never give my number to. There's quite a few of those I want no clue to know I even exist outside of work. And then I actually had one guy, he asked me if I did side work, and I was like, not here. I was like, what you mean? And he had some rental houses in town, and I was like, I'll go look at some rental houses for you.
Yeah.
And ended up missing his phone call because I was working one day, and he ended up calling me 10 more times within 2 hours. And
hell no.
so yeah, I just blocked him. I didn't call him back. I didn't shoot him a text. I didn't nothing. It was just
That's red flags, bro.
Block.
erased.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I ditched that one pretty quick. But definitely learn to be careful with it, and know who's worth it and who's not.
Yeah, if I gotta call somebody, unless I want them to have my number, it's *67, their number. I'm blocked. You're getting a blocked number, and if you don't answer, that's on you. See you later. I'm not leaving a voicemail on my phone or nothing, man. Nope. I've had too many people call me like in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, I called you because you had to, I need to tell you I was coming, not for you to call me 11 o'clock at night because Brian won't lie. Call the office, dude.
So you don't leave your work phone in the van?
No, because I do tech support for my entire company, other companies.
Me.
I carry that. I didn't have a personal phone until like a year and a half ago, so 2 years ago maybe.
Nah, my work phone stays in the van if I'm not working. I've got a handful of people to say I don't do tech support for everybody I work with. I got a handful of people that they can call me anytime for tech support. They all got my personal number. I'll have people like, hey, I called you and you didn't answer. Well, I didn't have my work phone on me, bro. Sorry. If you ain't got my personal number, you can't call me after 5 o'clock or on weekends. I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
I probably need to get better about it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Pat on this one. My phone will ring at like 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. It's the on-call guy, and I'm like, what could he possibly do? Like, oh, hell, I guess I'll answer. I ain't got nothing else to do. And then then you get roped into a 2-hour phone call, and I don't know. I my phone, when it rings, I don't know. I just answer. Figure why not? I mean, unless I'm if I'm eating dinner with my girlfriend, family, friends, whatever. I'm not going to answer it then. But if I'm just just sitting at the house, I mean, what else do I got to be doing?
Yeah, if I'm on, I've got a rule. If I am doing technical with someone in my company and I'm on the phone for over a half hour, I get the job number and I clock in. I log time. I get paid for it.
Nice.
So if it's over like 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm claiming time on this.
Yeah. All right.
They write it off as training. So real quick, Mason, where can everybody find you? If you want them to find you, if you don't, tell them to pound sand, but that's your call.
Yeah, I need to find you on Insta.
Basically, only got an Instagram at it's mking HVACR. I don't think there's any periods or anything.
I see
crazy in it.
I'll tag you in all the promotions and stuff when I release it. I appreciate you coming on, though, man. I look forward to seeing some more of your stuff and talking to you later on. You can come back anytime you want. And we look forward to having more of the young guns on. So if you guys know anybody that's 25 or so and under, we're not limited at 25. It's just an easy number to do. But if you know someone that's young and in the trades and is absolutely killing it, making a difference, and they want to show off what they're doing, send them our way. I'd love to have them on. And it doesn't have to be just PC, refrigeration, or kitchen. We'll talk to electricians, plumbers.
Yeah.
Maybe some other guys. I don't know. But
yeah.
We're here just to highlight the people out here killing it. So thanks for coming on, man.
Thank y'all for having me.
See you guys. If you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.